Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. What does it mean that love is not self-seeking? A question about love answered by gotquestions.org. And this is referencing 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5. Now, this channel is called Love Beyond the Sea, so I really need to be pointing out a lot of things about love so that husbands and wives, too, know what it really means to love one another so that that relationship works out. I believe the relationships fail because the love wasn't there. So what is love? We'll just keep going through these videos. What does it mean that love is not self-seeking? Well, the Bible tells us love is the greatest gift that God gives, 1 Corinthians 13. We have an elegantly beautiful description of God's type of love. I just love 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 7. That tells you what it is. It defines it. To help us understand all that love entails, the Apostle Paul includes some things that love is not. For example, love is not self-seeking. Verse 8, or rather verse 5, also translated as love does not insist on its own way. And I'm telling you, you're going to have to be good with this if you're going to have a lasting marriage. Continuing with the article, the Greek phrase literally means does not seek the things of itself. Self-focus, which is the antithesis of love, marked the Corinthian church. And this was evident in the church's divisiveness regarding leadership, its attitude towards the Apostle Paul, its attitude toward legal issues with other Christians, its attitude towards the Lord's Supper, and its attitude towards spiritual gifts. Paul wanted these believers to stop focusing on their own needs and preferences and serve God and one another. Great advice for husbands. The corrective to self-seeking is God-seeking. The remedy for selfishness is love. Jesus said, you shall love your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. Nothing about self-love there. The second commandment is this: love your neighbor as yourself. That's Mark 12:30 through 31. Love for God and others is to mark the believer, not love for self. We already love ourselves. Some have mistakenly interpreted love your neighbor as yourself as teaching self-love in order to love others. That is, we must love ourselves first before we can truly love others. I've kind of got that impression too, that it's talking about the one needs to come before the other. I don't know. I don't even think it feels right like that to me, but I think many people feel that way. But no, we don't have to love others first before we don't have to love ourselves first before we can truly love others. This is not the teaching of the passage. Self-love is assumed to be the default condition. Jesus was teaching that concern for others must equal the natural concern we have for ourselves. Also, Jesus was appealing to the Torah, specifically Leviticus 19, which reads in verse 17, do not hate your brother in your heart. Rebuke your neighbor frankly, so you will not share in his guilt. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against one of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. I like how that ends. It's a punctuation mark. This comes from God, so he's right. The context deals with treating others fairly, without vengeance, and with love. No reference there to self-love. The focus on others and their needs corresponds to Philippians 2, verse 4, where it says, let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. The command appeals to the selfless actions of Jesus Christ as the ultimate example. The New Testament often mentions the need to turn from self and toward helping other people. A person who demands his own way, who tramples on others' rights for the sake of upholding his own, or who insists on having his due, is not showing love. Love is considerate of others, always. The one who loves is willing to forego recognition and lay down his rights for the sake of the loved one. Jesus showed love in this way. He did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. That's Mark 10:45. Again, no self-seeking there. Christian love is not about us, but about others. Putting love into practice involves following the example of Jesus, considering the needs and interests of others, and denying our personal desires in order to serve those in need. And that's the end of that article. I'll just reiterate that I've been married for 7 years and 9 months now. We got married in 54 days from 9,800 flight miles away, 54 days, proposing on day 18. So we're coming up on 8 years, Lord willing. I've had to learn a lot about love. That's what this title of my channel starts with, Love Beyond the Sea. And I need to love her. And it can't be just in words or speech. It's got to be in deed and truth, as we've been learning. So love is not self-seeking. Good thing to get down before you get married, because we go from living a, somewhat selfish life as a single person for, like in my case, I was married at 53. It's a long time to go without having another person, that I feel responsible for as, the head of my wife. But I've had to learn how to love. And I've thought I've got to teach the people that watch this channel what love really is. Love doesn't go away. It was never there. If somebody says they fell out of love, what, you fell into love? No, that's not how it works. Love is about action, deed, choice, and a lot of sacrifice. And it's about loving others more than ourselves. So stay here and keep watching for more of these gotquestions.org commentary on the topic of love right here on Love Beyond the Sea.